What is the most dangerous thing people don't realize is all that dangerous? Psychological/emotional bullying among siblings. Parents too often label it as sibling rivalry or teasing, thinking it's harmless, but if left unchecked, that shit can cause lifelong damage. When we're kids, we're forming our identities and our understanding of the world, and all of that can be very easily influenced. Insecurities can turn into mental illnesses, which can wreak havoc on every aspect of our lives. I'm not saying parents should constantly be monitoring their kids' interactions and constantly protecting them from one another, but you need to listen when one of your kids says the other is going too far. If one of your kids starts developing insecurities, you need to help them, and you need to talk to the other one and get them to lay off. Teach them compassion. Teach them to treat others with respect and dignity. Don't worry about it making them weak or soft. It won't. There is strength in kindness. I was the baby girl with 2 older brothers, and until about the time the oldest left when I was 13, I was very frightened of these guys physically. They punched and kicked and slapped me. They would chase me. If I managed to get back to my room before they caught me, I would lock the door. Then they would pick the lock, so I would have to force myself against the door so they wouldn't come in and hurt me some more. At some point they would grab a knife or a coat hanger and start running it along the bottom of the door, which would poke me in the butt while I was sitting there trying to brace the door and they're trying to bust into my room. My parents weren't really too worried about it. I didn't feel safe or secure in my childhood home. I frequently wanted to die and wished I was someone else in a different family. I'm 42 now and my parents are dead and I don't speak to my brothers. At all. No regrets. The pin setters in a bowling alley. They are well over 1,000 pounds of mechanized death by steel and moving belts. Some of the scariest moments of my life have been me running/slapping the 6 between me and the emergency shut-off behind the front desk as a toddler runs, slipping and sliding, down the lane while their parents or guardians are laughing by the table because they thought it was cute. Even experienced pin setter mechanics have been crushed to death during scheduled maintenance. Pin setters are machines of convenience, entertainment, and death. We had someone die from a bowling pin setter incident in my area. Scary stuff. That's how cake boss Buddy Velostra nearly destroyed one of his hands, punctured by the pin setter in his home bowling alley. Having your hands in your pockets while doing stuff, walking stairs, driving a bike, etc. How has no one said fireworks yet? They're literally colorful bombs. Passengers should never rest their feet on the dash of the car, because when the airbag does its thing, it is only one way to go. Several terrible things can happen at this point. 1. Your knees get pushed into your face, and I won't paint that picture. Or, 2. Your hips are dislocated. Yeah, I saw the x-ray of someone's legs after their airbag went off with her feet on the dash. She had a shattered part of her femur stuck in her crotch like the most fucked up dildo. I do not want my shattered bones to be forcefully propelled into my pussy. No feet up in the car. No bone dildos. Coincidentally, Bone Dildos was the house band at a Halloween-themed burlesque show I saw this weekend. It was bad even before airbags. Reclining your seat in a moving vehicle is also no bueno. Snow globes. If you leave them near a window, they can act as lenses and set your house on fire. Ice/black ice is extremely dangerous. My grandpa was putting salt down after an ice storm the day after Christmas. My dad was in town visiting and insisted Grandpa stay off the ice. Grandpa fell right in front of my dad, hit his head hard. Woke up once in the hospital when my grandma was by his side, and then passed. When I see those fail videos of people slipping on ice, I cringe. I grew up in the upper Midwest. Often gets to -30 there in winter. Lots of snow and land of 10,000 lakes, so lots of ice and ice fishing. We did a winter survival course every year in elementary school. They taught us to test ice by throwing things and listening to the sound. Taught us how to lay down and distribute out weight on cracking ice. Taught us about hypothermia and paradoxical undressing and what to do when you first spotted the signs/how to help someone else if you found them in that condition. What to have in our cars for emergencies when we eventually would get cars. What to do if you're trapped in a whiteout snowstorm, both if you were in a car or already on foot. Then they'd take us all day to a state park and we had to start fires ourselves, determine if something was ice, learn how to walk around in all the gear, and how to navigate to some degree in the forest. Was a really good experience, and even just being so cold and exhausted at the end of the winter survival day was a reminder of how serious that stuff is even now as an adult. Wow, that's some excellent schooling. The ocean. One change of the tide and you can be a goner if you're not paying attention. My first sailing teacher told me that the ocean wasn't trying to kill you, but it was aggressively indifferent to my survival. People also underestimate the Great Lakes around Michigan. Seems like every other weekend I read a story on the news how a few people get taken out by a rip current, undertow. I live right by Lake Michigan and the absolute indifference to life so many people have utterly astounds me. The Great Lakes are not to be trifled with. Using non-ladder objects to reach things out of reach. As someone who just used a bar stool to fix my blinds, I feel targeted lol. Starts with counters. Then chairs. Then swivel chairs. I can't lie, I've used a swivel chair before. Getting in and out of a wet shower or bathtub. Old people lived in my house before me and they had rails installed in the shower to help with this. Even in my remaining years of my 20s I found them to be valuable, and probably did save me from a nasty slip at least once, and think stuff like that should be a standard in all showers/baths. Yes. We had the same experience. And when we moved to a new house that didn't have grab bars, my husband installed them, even though we were both under 50. I love them. Pressure washers. The more powerful ones can inject water into you through your skin if you put a body part too close to the nozzle. 2,000 pounds per square inch pressure washer operator here. I showed a colleague that was using it barefoot, yikes, a stack of cardboard, maybe 10 layers, the stream sliced through all of them in a single pass, clean as a razor cut. Did the coworker go huh that's weird and continue on? He was quite shocked. An Indian from rural India that hadn't seen much of technology until he got to the US to go to university. He was a work-study on a student visa. Smart guy, really, he learned fast, but there were lots of hazards he just hadn't been exposed to. And this is the real reason for warning labels. People think it's only because of dumb people and I'm sure that's part of it, but a lot of it is just that people don't know. You can be smart and still have blind spots in your knowledge. Being smart means you learn fast, not that you know everything. Any high-pressure fluid, honestly. My dad used to be an electrician on a nuclear submarine. The reactors use extremely high-pressure steam to move thermal energy around. The pressure is so insanely high that you literally cannot see it if it leaks out of a pipe. If the sensors detected a leak, the way they would search for the leak would be to hold a broom in front of them as they walked around the mechanical systems. They knew they had found the leak when the broom's bristles got spontaneously cut clean off. And hydraulic systems are just as terrifying. If one of the fluid tanks is leaking, it can inject that hydraulic fluid straight into your bloodstream without causing an entry wound. Aside from the obvious danger of having a non-sterilized fluid injected into your blood, hydraulic fluid is highly toxic. Can inject that hydraulic fluid straight into your bloodstream without causing an entry wound. Wait, what? Does it force itself between the cells? Yeah, the entry wound is so small, your own blood can't even get through it. Have garage door openers been mentioned yet? Can confirm. Used to work in a government building with an industrial-sized automatic garage door. The spring went twice during my time there and staff could hear it ping through X3 security doors and up a flight of stairs. Man, as a kid our residential garage door spring busted. It woke me up from 2 rooms over inside the house. Sounded like a bomb went off. I can only imagine an industrial spring going. Industrial door engineer here. We have to go up on scissor lifts and tension multiple springs by hand by putting bars into couple holes. 2 of you, one puts their bar in and the other releases a 13 meters bolt. Once you've done that all the tension is now on the other guy holding the bar. You have to raise the bar above your head while the other guy gets his bar in and takes the tension and repeat until you've reached the correct amount of turns needed. We fucking hate them. We've heard horror stories of springs snapping while being tensioned and the spring actually puncturing people's arm and taking it clean off. Yes, all those door springs, all 13 to 16 turns of tension are held by a single 13 meters bolt. When they go, they fucking go. Any large spring under tension or compression. It's a bomb combined with a rocket. It will fuck your life. You are not fast enough. You are not strong enough. Only let a professional deal with any large spring. My garage door was broken when I moved into my house. I started watching a video on how to fix it and the first thing the guy said was if you're not a professional, or have multiple years of experience, this can kill you. Stop the video now and call a professional. So I called a professional. Not a garage door spring, but as a child my family had two antique clocks in our house that had to be wound by hand. My dad was winding one of them one morning and the spring broke, turning the key on the peg rapidly and sending the key flying off the peg, breaking the clock hands, and through the glass door of the clock shattering it. We found the key 15 feet away or so. That was just a little clock spring, maybe the size of a tennis ball. Stress. Agreed, this past year has been the most stressful year of my life with my new job. Was sick more this year than I have been my whole life. Can relate. I've been very stressed for over 2 years with several different things. I've been more sick, in more pain and had more hospital visits in the past 2 years than all my other years combined, and I'm 47. I remember reading someone else talking about how they took a college class on stress. They said they thought it would be stuff like how to deal with stress, but no. It was a class explaining how stress slowly destroys your body on a molecular level. Sounds like a great class. It was interesting, but the tests are quite stressful to do. Using rocks from a river to make a fire pit. Yes. Was living in the bush for a while and some others had decided to make a fire pit, but hadn't known about this. Luckily it was later in the day and by the time the rocks heated up and exploded everyone had left for bed. But definitely used some rocks. There was another fire pit made without any stones, and eventually the roots of the trees caught and was just slowly burning beneath the ground. It took roughly 60 liters of water to put out, and the ground just sank a good foot or two. I'd read something like that happening a few weeks before on Reddit, so recognized immediately what was going on when I saw the smoke, well after the actual fire had burned out. So thanks random Redditor that posted about this happening to them. Edit, a bush to the bush. It seems to be a problem lol. It was a forest. But New Zealand forest, so. Bush. Let your rocks dry out, or use some further up the bank from the river so they're less likely to contain as much water. Shenandoah Reserve, South Island NZ for any curious. Today I fucking learned. Didn't know any of this, but it makes perfect sense. This is why I spend so much time reading through these posts. If not, I'd be posting about my recovery from exploding rocks after petting the pretty bison in a really crowded venue. Wait, can you explain what you meant by roots catching fire beneath the ground? Flammable stuff that's underground can catch fire and it will burn, but it burns very slow, until it hits something in open air and then it can erupt into a hotter, faster fire. Burying something and then catching it on fire is basically one of the ways we make charcoal. The Centralia underground coal fire started in 1962, or earlier, that might have just been it was discovered, and it's estimated it will be another couple hundred years before it burns itself out, for instance. Add to this, using a fireplace too soon after you build it or after it's been repaired. Water in the mortar can flash to steam, and cause serious injury due to flying bricks. Please explain this. Some rocks can have trapped water inside them. You heat them up and they become time bomb fragment grenades. That sounds entertaining, but also keep in mind I have a smooth brain. An exploding rock might fix that. Smooth and perforated. Tripping. The human body has weirdly perfect proportions for killing itself from an uncontrolled fall onto a hard surface. Drunken scuffle. Friends messing about. Navigating a dark apartment. Getting in and out of the shower. Hurrying up or down stairs. Any of these that result in your head falling from about standing height and hitting the floor or concrete or a rock can very well kill you or somebody else. Lots of people have had their lives ruined by this as they either caused someone to fall, fell themselves or had a close family member fall. One bad fall in a drunk fight turns it from a scuffle to manslaughter. Hell, even if you're lucky enough to avoid a closed head injury, a fall can royally screw you up. I recently dislocated my hip by tripping over a curb while carrying groceries, and slamming hip first into the pavement. If a fall like that can pop a relatively fit 33-year-old woman's thigh bone out its socket, just think of the damage it could do to someone older or frailer. Glad you posted this. I just read this and had posted about pets tripping people. The older I get, the more I realize how easy it is to trip and fall. I have had people's pets dart between my legs while walking, cats just stop right in my path, and dogs on leashes try to weave between us while walking. I won't give up mine or ask anyone else to. Everyone should be more aware of how easy pets can be the reason for a trip and fall. My mom had to have knee replacement surgery and we realized the dogs were going to be a hazard on the stairs since they follow her everywhere, so we trained them to wait at the base or the top of the stairs until she got up or down and then follow. Best thing we ever did, and I'll be training any other dogs I have to do this in future. I didn't realize until then I spent so much attention watching for them when I was on the stairs. Bright colors in the wild. Don't go near. Stay the fuck away from me, tulips, presumably. I stopped buying tulips for my girlfriend, because the damn cat keeps eating them. Apparently cats don't read Ask Reddit. Touching bright colors in nature means one of you is getting fucked. I used to teach scuba diving. I told classes that if they saw something that was really pretty, really ugly, or not afraid of you, don't touch it. Small spelling correction. Oops. I was always taught the abbreviated version. Don't touch it, whatever it is, don't touch it, don't touch anything. Take only pictures, leave only bubbles. My godfather went on a scuba dive trip one year and his wife bought a camera for him. On the beach before the trip he took some photos of a small colorful fish that were swimming close to his legs, even tried to pet them but they stayed away. He went for a dive and developed the images the next day to show to his instructor. These were deadly fish, like the most venomous thing on the island, and his instructor just gulped in disbelief. He had the pictures framed and they are hanging in the living room. It's a great conversation starter, like, you see these fish? There, from that time I almost died. A piece of advice commonly ignored by tourists here in Australia who think, "Oh, this tiny little octopus is so colorful and cute. Look, it has little blue rings. So cute." Petrol/gasoline. I have seen so many videos of people trying to transport it in plastic bags, or buckets. It is incredibly volatile, even a small amount can instantly turn into a mini inferno. Carrying a gallon of the stuff in a plastic bag is insanity. During the first Gulf War, the US dropped a gasoline-based air-burst bomb. Think 50 gallons of gasoline spun out into a cloud and ignited. The Brits called home and reported the Americans have gone nuclear. At least that's the story as I remember hearing it. But the air-burst bomb is real. Being knocked out. I guess a lot of people know that it is dangerous, but probably a good amount don't. We see it in movies all the time. People punched in the head with fists, chairs, pistols, etc. Then they wake up somewhere else, with maybe a minor headache but are pretty much good to go. I am not a doctor, but I can only assume that sustaining head trauma that is enough to render you unconscious is something pretty serious. You have to go to a hospital after something like that, you don't just walk it off. Also, fighting in general is quite dangerous, yet you see people getting in physical altercations all the time, for minor things. I have seen a video in my hometown where one guy punches another in the head, who then falls down back on his head and just starts twitching. There is a very good chance that the guy just ruined his own life and the life of the other dude. And for what? Because he looked at him funny or something. Concussion is no joke. And if there is more force in the blow, you get risks of skull fracture, neck injuries, facial fractures, cerebral bleeding due to blood vessel rupture, or outright traumatic brain injury. In general, losing consciousness, without being very drunk, etc., means something is very, very wrong. Someone lying twitching is extremely bad news. This tastes kinda funny. Oh well, food poisoning can fuck you up big time. You can permanently damage your body. If something doesn't taste right, stop eating it immediately. When in doubt, throw it out. I got food poisoning from sushi. I was on the pooper and had stuff coming out of both ends for close to 24 hours. By the end of it I was so dehydrated and dizzy I could barely walk. Shit like that makes you appreciate normal days when everything was fine, crying face. Shit like that makes you appreciate normal days when everything was fine, crying face. Yes. Whenever I have stomach things going on or my nose is totally stuffed, I always think, what was it like to just breathe ? Not live in the bathroom? Yep. I ate one of those Michelina's frozen dinners, what must be 15 years ago now. It was some kind of chicken dish. The chicken was pretty pink inside and rather chewy, but I told myself that they probably just add color to make it more appealing and the cut is subpar at best. I spent the large majority of 4 days sitting on the toilet, hugging a bucket, sweating profusely. There were many times when the vomiting was so goddamn intense, I couldn't breathe for what had to have been more than a minute at a time. If anyone is wondering. It's pretty unheard of, but yes. You can shit the bed. I haven't eaten chicken since that day. It's no joke. Tick bite. Dang, after reading these comments, it makes me realize how different some of our lives are. For some people, tics are something that is strange to find on you. Where I grew up, it was nightly routine to pull all the tics off before you got in the shower. Interesting lives we all lead. If you liked the video, hit that subscribe button for more content. I post every day, and I'll see you next time with more stories.